Soccer was always my favorite. I played for years.
Like soccer. I played in high school too. Just like for junior year, I played, and then
Well, soccer when I was back in high school and I graduated in 74, so it really wasn't a well recognized, right, American sport. And that goes all the way back to the days of Pele, you know, of course, who was it? Ready?
Oh yeah,
In the green. No, listen, in honor of the World Cup, which is great. So, listen, great job in the green room last week with the crew. And it's been a couple of weeks since I've been in. We had Thanksgiving holiday, of course, and all that. So we're back. And, listen to the World Cup.
A major event called the World Cup.
Yeah. Well,
because I'm in green.
I know, it's great, a green screen. Yeah, that is pretty funny. No, I like it. And you got another white jersey. That blends in taste got green.
Nordine, who's from Morocco, he plays soccer twice a week, so hence he's really skinny, not like me. So his shirts are small.
So I was on a cruise, and of course, around a lot of people and the events. Up on top of the ship, they have the big screen and they put all the World Cup games up there. So it was a lot of fun. So there's always a focus. But what a great World Cup for Morocco.
So for those that don't know, Morocco has never made it to the quarterfinals. So this is historic. And, honestly.
What you know about the World Cup in the smaller countries is that it's such a national focus.
It is.
And a source of pride. And the countries literally stop during these matches.
Because America.
Well, we don't know it here necessarily. We're fragmented.
Yeah, we are fragmented because you're right. In the rest of the world, like honestly, when the World Cup is on, the planet stops for them. Like they don't care what's going on.
Countries like Uruguay,
everywhere,
Argentina. Yeah.
I mean, countries shut down and their citizens, like you'll go to the coffee shops, they're packed full of people.
Yeah.
And like honestly, when they win, the entire country explodes.
For sure. So congratulations to the Moroccans. And the Americans had a nice little run. They got to the quarterfinals too. But listen, soccer's funny because growing up in Akron, Ohio, and as I said, I have to wait till we get into the green room to tell my soccer story. But the Jewish kids in Akron were allowed to play soccer, not football. And once again, Jewish mother joke. No, Jewish mothers had it all the way back with the CTE and brain protection.
Yeah, brain protection.
So very few of us were allowed actually to play football. So we played soccer. So I did play soccer. I got a letter jacket all the way back when. And football actually was a club sport and you weren't eligible for the letters like the football track and this and that. But it changed right when I started high school. So that's how far back I go. And Pele was the big star and this and that.
I don't know if you guys watched the Brazilian game, but I kudos to Neymar. They brought out a huge banner for Pele because he's in the hospital. He's 82 years old. He's an icon in Brazil.
Just passing of generations, it's like Babe Ruth, to a certain extent in soccer world.
Everybody in the soccer world, these are legends.
The Moroccans one was so interesting because the shots on goal. Seriously, they didn't have one corner kick the entire game, so they played that defensive style of game and managed to get the 0-0 tie, which fascinates us Americans, of course, because how can it be a 0-0 game and be exciting?
And pins and needles, like every time you get the ball, you're like.
I know, but they played that style of game. So the attacking style of Spain, they were able to hold off. And then, I guess there was some controversy about the penalty kicks on the Spain side, who went first and this and that, but whatever they do. But within the Spanish team. But the point is when the last Moroccan player put the goal in. Well, you knew who it was, of course. I know.
This is like a Cinderella story for all of them. And like Hakimi, his parents emigrated to give him a better life. So he was actually born in Spain, in Madrid.
Sure.
His mom, they were dirt poor. Mom, house cleaner, father worked at vending machines across in Spain. And the kid came up and look where he is now. I mean, he saved like the day for his country. And like, you look at this is the only other thing that's really fascinating, like with the soccer stories, like you look at the players, Ronaldo's mother, single mom, one of the greatest players of all time, dirt poor, Neymar, they all come from very humble beginnings. And what's interesting, like one of the things that I love about all of them the poorer they are, the more they give back. Because when you see now, when they have these millions, they're building hospitals in their countries,
Great.
children's
Sure.
centers, orphanages. It's like, because they all started from really humble beginnings. And
Sure.
so like, it's really cool. And like, I don't know, I'm excited. Saturday, 9 o'clock.
Is that what it is?
It's gonna be the game.
Sure.
There's a huge Moroccan party going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's called
Okay.
Sarasota. Every Moroccan
All
on
right.
the planet with you. Everyone's
Sure.
welcome. It's gonna be
Well,
packed
listen,
house, though. I'm telling you,
And it's
it's
been,
packed.
I gotta be honest with you, it's been so much fun. And, listen, how can we avoid any political talk in today's green room? Because kind of the fun
Well,
that,
there was a full moon, wasn't there?
yeah, well, there was something going on. Yeah, werewolves, blue moon, this, that. I don't know. I can tell you on a cruise ship, when you get these snippets of things coming across, and you hear that there's,
And there's still, you have to believe.
well, no, I just think the overriding tide right
Oh
now
my
is
gosh.
one that we in the green room, what, about 110 episodes or whatever it is, not done, but whatever the time thing is,
Wow.
as we talk
Wow.
about it from that time frame of history, we've watched that former guy, that whatever he is, this, that, whatever. Oh, here there's somebody running for president on the east coast of Florida in the Republican primary. Remember, we can get him in the green room.
Oh,
No, seriously, I think they're finally starting to understand that lies
Florida's
catch
like
up with you.
I think
That we
finally
don't
Florida has
want chaos.
no.
And so got a guy like Reverend Senator Warnock
My
coming
God.
out of the Ebenezer, Baptist Church where, Martin Luther King himself, and a statesman, and somebody that is going to stand up for rights.
I
and
know,
freedom
seriously, the
and
guy
speak
was
up for everybody.
Herschel Walker.
I remember sitting there on pins and needles wondering about this race, but I really think at this point, you're really starting to see a turn.
There is a turn.
Listen, when you look at a 9-hour deliberation on the counts that they came back
Oh my
against
God,
the
for
Trump
Trump
organization. Okay, but it just shows. And the stupidest thing in the world was at the end of it, they're trying to say that it was Weiselberg that was like engineering the whole thing.
Yeah, that was
Don't insult the American people anymore.
no, it is.
And I just think there's a certain tipping point where smart Republicans that do care about their party and the conservative values and small government and what we all have kind of grown up with is that quote unquote GOP, right? Whether we agreed with it or disagreed with it, but the honorable of them, I think at this point, see the tipping point. And listen, we got to go to the anti-Semitism side for a moment. Okay, we do, because that's scary.
It is scary.
And what, Kanye was sitting behind some mask or something? Yeah, no, but seriously, we're really at a stage where if you don't look at history and see, Germany in the 30s and how and whether there's an indictment, of that former guy that prevents him from running again. Okay, I know. So that was scary. I know. And so, no, I mean, but you understand the difference in that.
No,
And you see what went on in Germany, they had this coup.
Oh my God, Germany.
No, seriously, it's not just here.
Heinrich the Eighth generation.
No, it's not just
It
here.
was a descendant of Heinrich the Eighth, a QAnon guy who wanted to overturn Germany and bring back the Kaisership. It's
No,
like,
but
okay.
it's not just here. That
It's
far
so
right
funny. It's a right-wing
extremism,
movement.
okay?
It's scary.
And you see one of the
It's
new
really scary.
Florida House members has been
got
indicted.
indicted.
So we got to keep our eye on the prize,
keep our eye.
everybody, what's going on here in our local circumstance. A lot of talk about the school board, and I saw there was a forced resignation of a
Yeah.
very respected.
Oh my God,
Right,
a
right?
very credentialed, very respected.
Superintendent,
superintendent. Yes, very respected. And
These are scary times in a lot of
I don't know,
ways. So
between Ziegler and the other ones that are on her little bench there,
Whatever.
just a shame, really a shame. And honestly, just a disgrace to Sarasota County and the way that they handled it. And honestly, the man has a very reputable, background and nice family, educated, highly regarded everywhere, and now basically forced to leave the community of Sarasota. So to take the higher
The
ground.
only
And they-
ones who will lose are the children.
The
Oh, the
children,
kids,
Yes.
gosh. Quality in
the
schools.
children. are-
It's
unfortunately,
lunacy.
it is, it's lunacy.
So we really have to keep our eye on what's going on to that extent. But, you know, so does the legislative season start January or is it a March this
I think it's
year?
January.
January,
It's
yeah,
January this year.
right.
It's January. And then I don't know if you saw the press for our local yokels here. We have Christian Ziegler is going to be running for the state chair of the Republican Party. He put his name in the hat. And then Joe Gruters, who's our senator, not anymore.
Current
but
state chair.
Current state chair now just applied. We thought it was going to be to run the whole RNC, but it's actually to be the treasurer for the chief financial officer and treasurer for the national RNC. And again, these guys back Trump. So do you really want them leading? I think we had a flag, like you said, I think this last voting session all across the United States, except for Florida, still went against Trump. And the only state that didn't is ours here in Florida. So I don't think necessarily that Ziegler and Gruters is going to be fantastic. Just because I don't think the rest of the country wants them.
Yeah.
They're Trumpers. They back Trump. Their Gruters was on the plane with Trump every 5 seconds.
See how the governor, I'll be interested to see where our governor. That's an entire other discussion.
Crazy. And while you were away, we lost our telehealth. So
Right.
that's something that we need to fight for this year. I
For
would
sure.
say the ease for our patients, and we get reviews back from our patients. They were so happy with telehealth, and that emergency order ended on November 30th.
But the emergencies remain.
But the emergency.
So we still have patients hang on that are displaced from their homes that are living on the other coast.
Yeah.
I had a guy yesterday from 2 cars down to 1 car, people working double shifts, our roofer guys, our tree guys. People are busy and listen, 75 is 75, everybody, and 41 is 41. If you don't live down here, then you don't understand it. But no one wants to go at 75, even if our patients from Sarasota and Bradenton, and we got plenty of them, okay?
No,
It is, and
it's 45 minutes. You're talking 18 months.
it only takes one accident, okay, to back everything up.
2 hours.
Because there's only, so
There's only one way.
the emergencies remain, and I want to get back to the international talk for a second because it
Yeah,
was so much fun to research what's going on in the various countries, and I'll give everybody a reason to root for Morocco in a second. But just talking about going into the legislative season, and I know we have a lot of people to watch us from a lot of the advocacy groups. It's going to be tough sledding this year, everybody. Believe me when I tell you, we know the state's gotten more conservative, not less. We know there's a constitutional amendment battle that's going to be November 24. So there's not going to be much happening this year. But believe me when I tell you, I want to focus on trying to get telehealth back for our recertification patients. It doesn't grow the program to any great degree. It doesn't enhance the potency of the product. They've already chiseled out the amounts that they want our patients to get. We're following the rules, of course.
And it's a pain in the neck because most patients are taking the rolls, and it's.
But in spite of all of that, we're going to continue to swim upstream, okay, and do what we do and do what we do best, which is continue to offer our patients safe, legal, educated access to the medicine that they want, okay? But I am going to focus on one and only one legislative issue in this coming session, and that's and here's my point to the politicians. I think we still have a couple of those watching, although, dear friends, Carlos was, people been benched, yeah. But I think we still have some people out there that do watch us, and I hope for both sides of the aisle. Because cannabis should never be a red and blue issue. It's a green issue. It is another reason to root for Morocco. But to the politicians, there's almost 800,000 people in the program at this point, okay? 400,000, I guarantee you, Republicans and 400,000 Democrats, okay? Believe me when I tell you, it's not red and blue. Give us something this year. Give your constituents something, okay, that enhances their ease of access, okay?
This is a wake-up call to the people in the medical marijuana program. You got to wake up because you're voting for people that are not voting for your best interest, and it's a wake-up call. You got to realize, and I think that's something that eventually we're going to have to start pounding pounding down, even in our practice sometimes, is to say, like, look, do you realize your vote matters for you? At the end of the day, you might be thinking you're so proud to be like Republican, but if they're voting against your best interest as a medical marijuana patient, you got to think twice. Do you really want to vote for that side? And it's a reality.
But my point is, it's through further education and outreach and advocacy that I think we can continue to change minds on both sides of the aisle. And everybody knows we've had Representative Buchanan in the green room and in the office, Senator Gruters as well, you know, Congressman Stubbe, I mean, Nikki Fried on the Democratic side, of course. But my point is, it's all about that education. And that's why it was so fascinating, everybody.
See what the rest of the world is doing.
Oh, seriously, I'm gonna blame the green room this morning on my lack of sleep last night, because when I started to read, okay, at about 4 a.m. or whatever, about what's going on in all the various countries, the 8 countries that are in the World Cup still remaining. So Morocco, just to start. No, listen, everybody, there's a reason. I will.
They actually are the #1 producer of cannabis in the world.
They are, and for a number of years.
In my husband's family, I must say, I asked him for a picture. I don't know if he sent it. He has family in Chefchaouen, which is the capital of cannabis in Morocco, and they own like hundreds of acres. And there's a picture of Noureddin the last time he was in Morocco, and he's with these cannabis plants that are like 7 feet tall, and he's in a sea of them. So
No, and this and that.
But they actually this
They
year
did just this past year. It was fascinating reading, like I told you, I couldn't believe what's going on
just this year
to produce and grow.
because it's such a huge
Farmers
market,
need it.
and the farmers need regulation because the illegal market, they don't want cartels to form, and the farmers are losing out. So marijuana actually in the country of Morocco actually supports about 90,000 families, which is insane if you think about it. They make their living off of marijuana, and so hashish has been in Morocco since day one, and they use it in butters, they use it in jams, they use it in teas.
Well, they do. I don't have the word in front of me, but there's a concoction of fruits and this and that, and cooked cannabis, and Noureddin has the stories, to tell them.
Home, like I can't think of the name right now, it escapes me, but it's like a mash of nuts and spices, and they mash in marijuana to it, the oil.
Sure.
And it's medicinal.
It is.
And they have the grandpas and the grandmas, they're in their coffee shops, and you can smell it everywhere.
It's a cultural thing. It's just so interesting. But
it is, it's very
but once again, getting just back into the World Cup, you got that up there, Don? Confederation. I'm so excited to see it. And I watched some of the Argentine games, but apparently the Argentine Cannabis Coalition, the Confederation Cannabis, had a huge sign that they didn't smuggle into Qatar.
Oh.
They actually met with the emir's son. Okay.
Which is
Right.
cool.
I know it shows. So they have this sign.
It seems like this is the thing that's kind of funny. So Qatar, like, look, they're allowing this. I'm telling you, it's kind of, I don't know if it's propaganda or what. So they think like all these other countries are backwards and on some things. And then you have Spain where it's illegal. Well, now it's okay for medicinal, but then you have France and UK, which it's totally
very
illegal.
Restricted. And then of course the Netherlands, and the Portuguese have decriminalized all drugs, but still it's not legal.
It's not legal. But even Netherlands, it's decriminalized, but it's not legal. Yet they said if you go, I actually had some friends here from Belgium who, like, obviously they go to the Netherlands all the time because they're next door neighbors. But they were saying that you can go to the coffee shops in the Netherlands and it's everywhere. You can smoke it openly. Nobody says anything, but it has to stay in the coffee shops. They don't allow it anywhere else. So, but it's free there. And even though it's illegal, everybody does it. So like when you look around the world, like Brazil, I think
No, I researched Brazil this morning. So they're just inching in, but it's been utilized forever. Well, how the article always starts is that it's the most consumed substance in the country and the culture, but it's
crazy. So
like, it really is.
But like, like the thing is, even in like the Middle East where like, alcohol, drugs, all of that is very taboo and stuff, but you still look to culture because culturally the marijuana plant, it was still always viewed as a plant. So there's a lot of debates, even with like the scholars, because most
Sure.
of those countries are Islamic.
Right.
There was a debate, like, can you use it because it's natural? And so like there's a lot of things like for medicinal, like it's like, well, you know, it's a natural plant and it's okay. And
Right.
again, it's been used for like centuries.
Well,
and
that's
centuries
the
there.
fun part of the reading,
Yeah.
and why, you know, really, because it is historical, and you go back and you read about the historical use, and it's so interesting.
Even in Morocco, like you see with the hashish bars, like you had Ernest Hemingway. I mean, the people that went through Morocco with like no, on the smoking and the hashish use. I mean, they have cafes where like all these famous people were like, I mean, from spies to writers to you know, just musicians. Like tons of musicians went through Morocco.
The thing that was striking to me, though, was that there was a consistent lack of quality medicinal programs, you know, pretty much everywhere, that really, besides Israel and some degree in Spain and some of the other countries, we really haven't gotten into the research. And, you know, it's aggravating because, you know, everybody remembers the 10% THC cap battle that we had down here in Florida a couple of years ago, about going through the same thing in West Virginia right now.
I do have to say something on that after. I had dinner with some friends from Belgium on Friday.
Right.
And they said they actually went into, they couldn't go into a dispensary here, but they had asked some questions, and because they said, well, how come some states you could just walk in and purchase? How come some states you can't? But one of the things that they noticed is they said that the amount of THC here, it's way stronger than what they have in Europe, like way, way, way stronger. But they also said, from what they did, because they were researching it too, they said it's much cleaner. They said there it's not as protected, and it's not as you know, consumer, like I guess consumer protected, because there they grow it like in Morocco, they grow it outside in the fields. They don't have, it's not any kind of specific growing conditions. I mean, they grow it outside. It's
that's
like
commercialization of cannabis, of course, you know, in the States, and multi-state operators, and, you know, always going to be debate about that. Curaleaf's president at the CEO or whatever out of the MJ BizCon 3-4 weeks ago talked about the consolidation ultimately into 4 big cannabis producing entities, very much like the tobacco entities with Philip Morris and others. So you can literally see the boutique cultivators, the people that really care about quality and processing and all of it, just, you know, kind of sitting there cringing at it. So there's always going to be, you know, that battle. But my point is that with what's going on in West Virginia right now and the potency battle, and everybody wants research and this and that, we don't have the research because we haven't been allowed to do the research. And it's interesting because you look at anecdotal, in other words, our clinic every day, the patients we see, the stories they tell, the satisfaction they, you know, demonstrate, right? It's hard to quantify necessarily in a double-blinded research study in the manner in which pharma wants it, because it's not singular compound. Every patient has their own experience. They use it for different purposes and reasons. All we know is that we have patients day after day after day telling us about the improved quality of life and reduced pharma burden that they have based upon their motivations to live that better lifestyle.
A cleaner life. I mean, without all
a more controllable lifestyle for the vast majority of the patients.
I think overall healthier. Like, you know, it's strange. Like for me, like, okay, so my parents came from Lithuania. Lithuania is probably one of the most conservative on marijuana, which is really crazy. And I really want, one day I'm hoping to go maybe this summer to Lithuania, and I really want to go meet with some people because it's driving me nuts. My mom, the stories of her being in Lithuania, they had like a large estate and she had like lots of land. They used to grow marijuana. My mom said they used it as hemp and they used to make rope. But she said her mother, my grandmother, used to make teas. And when people got sick, she used to give them the tea with the marijuana. My mom was like, I don't know what's going on with Lithuania. She goes, we used it, we grew it, we did everything. And now Lithuania is like, oh my God, no, it's a drug, it's a drug, it's a drug. And like, I'm like, my mom was like, what? She goes, all the farmers used to grow it. Everybody had it in their fields. It was normal. And she goes, and it was used as medicine. She goes, for rope and medicine. And she goes, my mom said my grandmother used to actually extract it almost like a milk-based product. And she used to use that.
Sure.
She used to use it for put it on people's chest for pneumonia.
Even the roots of the
The
cannabis
roots,
plant
yeah,
are known to
They
various
did.
things.
And those grandmothers and those great grandmothers, they knew what they were doing. And it's
Still
like
do.
they still do. I swear they know all those little grasses and all those little seeds and things. They use them. So it's kind of funny though, like when you look at the world where they stand on marijuana, and it's
It is.
interesting because it is progressing as a whole. It
So,
is going.
so FIFA itself within the tournament, CBD
CBD
only is allowed,
Yeah.
but you have to use a CBD isolate product, okay, and not a full spectrum hemp product, because the full spectrum hemp products will have that less than
whatever
0.3% of THC
Yeah.
per FIFA World Doping
That's the
Association.
doping
Yeah, that's what it is.
association, Yeah. It's
And
like the Olympic
this goes
Committee.
back about 4 years actually ago. They formally recognized CBD isolates, right? Which
Yeah.
is good. And listen, so you got to be careful, not Delta 8, anybody or any of those other, bogus THCs.
Oh,
So be
somebody,
careful.
the Belgians asked me about that too. They said, they're like, they just walked into like a,
And they
whatever,
sure will.
like a gas station. And they said THC sold here.
Yep.
And they said, wow, you could get the THC just in the gas station. I'm like, no, don't get that.
And that's the subtleties. So I want to go back to what I was saying about West Virginia. So West Virginia is going through their 10% THC cap battle. They got a commission up there, and there's a Dr. Barry, actually, that's his last name. And he's an anti-cannabis doctor. Oh. So there's 2 Dr. Barrys. We've laughed about that in the past, but the point is that no one has the research on the products that we have available now to us in the medical cannabis world. So even the research was done on that University of Mississippi product, garbage, THC percentage of 2 or 3%, all crushed up brown and with the seeds and the snap. Meanwhile, we have great cannabis now with THC, CBD, the other cannabinoids, the various duality products and mixes and patches and creams and other ways of using it. So really, we're not even near scratching where we need to be research-wise, but it gets me angry because we have this other completely nonsensical, bogus, other cannabinoid world out there, completely unregulated, where your Belgian friends, can walk into some, whatever.
Gas station.
So gas station is gas station. And listen, Rise still tells me that they're going to have their certain I've been assured that's going to happen. But my point is, but they more likely will walk by a smoke shop or something like that, which will have a THC sign. There'll be somebody behind that will discuss with them what products they have. And I want an honest conversation, okay? I don't want that dishonest purveyor saying, well, all THC is a lie, okay? And our products are tested. Here's the COA. You can put your little phone on it. Well, who knows where that's going, okay? So my point is, as long as the information being given to the consumer is appropriate, okay? And I'm still demandant, and it's got to happen, of a state level testing site for all the other cannabinoids before they hit the shelves of the gas station, the CBD shop. Listen, we have some CBD places here in Venice. I've been into talking to the owners and all that. They're welcome as long as they purvey and portray their product appropriately. I want them to have the good CBG and CBC and other minor cannabinoid full hemp product spectrum and tinctures, because the MMPCs really aren't good at that right now. But I don't want them shucking and jiving in the Delta 8, 10, 6, OA, which is illegal, HHHC, which is illegal. Those synthetic totally products can be taken off the shelves in Florida. But there's nothing that stops people from shucking and jiving and being dishonest. And I hope that doesn't happen. So that's what I bring to the discussion to the people. And we're going to have a Zoom next week about what's going on in West Virginia. And I want to remind those people to make sure that the legislative guys know that their real problem is not in the regulated cannabis world, where people have a legitimate want and need to reduce. And we're talking West Virginia, everybody. Not that it's not every state, but we're talking West Virginia. There's kind of a little narcotic problem there, load.
Oh,
nothing.
they also married their.
Whatever
cousins and brothers.
the point is,
Something in the
But
mountains.
people want and deserve good, high
No,
quality
Virginia.
cannabis product,
They
right?
do.
For the desires that they have. Versus going out to the gas station and getting a Delta 8 or 9 from hemp derived or whatever, So my point is my point, but I know, Don, we gotta be getting close to
Very
green room
close.
time, right?
It is
Okay,
9.
great. It is 9, so
It is
9
9.
o'clock on Saturday
9 o'clock
morning.
Saturday.
All right, good.
Go from Morocco.
So just strategically, they're gonna have to play
They're
a very
it's
similar
a-
type of game.
It's gonna be different. I think they're gonna have to play a little. differently.
Argentina, right?
No, they're playing Portugal.
Oh, Portugal, I'm
Which,
sorry. Sure,
which
of
is
course.
actually kind of, this is the other thing. So in the last 2 World Cup, Morocco and a couple years, like 4 years ago, lost to Spain.
Okay.
And then 8 years ago, they lost to Portugal. So they vindicated themselves against Spain.
Okay.
So now they have a mission of vindicating themselves against Portugal.
Sure.
Portugal, they came out and they played really well and they crushed Korea 7-1 the other day. But it was
Saw that.
Korea.
Sure.
Morocco is going to be tougher competition. Morocco, they just need to step up a little bit more on offense. Hopefully they'll
But they're still gonna lay back and play that defensive style,
defense. They're defensively, they're one of the strongest.
in soccer. I mean, it just
Yeah.
is. I mean, you got, and listen, football too, I'll be American football.
I put it on, I had to. John Cleese does this great thing before the World Cup where he's like, Americans need to understand why it's called football. It's a ball and you kick it with your foot.
Right, yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Right, yeah. And listen, somehow the Browns, eked out, a couple wins. I'm still in purgatory when it comes to American football. But American football, it takes defense to win championships. It just does. Same thing in soccer.
It does.
So
And their goalie Bono was awesome. So
no, I'm
yeah.
waiting for Morocco. To be.
Yeah.
So listen, things going on up in Washington. There's going to be an appropriations bill, and we'll see if safe banking and all that
Yeah, for banking.
is included. So I'm going to see if we can kind of tighten it up into next week's spring room for that. And then we're getting to the holidays again. So we want to wish everybody a great season.
Go watch the World Cup
Yep.
and